Hey, it's Roz, and I am back for that part two of my Who Am I? What am I? What am I made of? I just showed you what was on my Ancestry DNA, but that's just one of the many DNA things that you could use. So I am going to show you what I got when I got 23andMe. Is it different? Is it the same? Uh, what do you get out of both of them? So stay tuned. Okay, so here is my 23andMe DNA results. And the DNA results for 23andMe, um, they come back a little different. But the nice thing about 23andMe is it gives me haplogroups, and it also gives you some Neanderthal ancestry if you want to know if you have non um, I guess human um, ancestry on there. So I'm gonna go through. Oh, and they also give you carrier status, traits, and the wellness. So they give you a whole bunch of new statuses. I don't know what that is. Okay, so here are my ancestry reports. I think. Okay, yeah, I'm already there. Okay, so here are my ancestry reports, and I'm going to the ancestry composition, and it's already telling me that I'm 79.5% West African. Um, but it goes a little bit more in detail. So, as it says, it's going to show you everywhere. And for me, as 100%, it has the world, just like the other one. Um, and they have all the tested populations. So they have it like really drawn out in colors, a whole bunch of colors, which is kind of nice. But you can see it a little. I don't know if you can go separately. Um, oh wait, I think if you click, no. All right. So as you can see on this one, it says, I'm gonna start over here on the left, European, 12.8%. In my Ancestry DNA, it said 11%. So there is a little bit of a difference in there, with Northeastern European being 9.8% and broadly Northwestern. I just said Northwestern European being 9.8% and broadly Northwestern European being 5.6 and 4.1% of that being British and Irish. So, and obviously it's weird they have no Scandinavian here, but on the other one it shows Scandinavian. So, and then Southern European 0.8%, Eastern European 0.7%, and broadly European 1.5%. Um, then we have South Asian, and there's nothing. And then we have East Asian and Native American, 1.1%. Like I said before, they kind of go together. And in my ancestor DNA, it didn't show any Native, but on 23andMe is saying, okay, that's Native. Some of the ones that is coming from there. And then it's also showing, like I said, Southeastern Asia and East Asia. So that's that Melanesia part in East Asia. Um, and that little bit broadly 0.1%. And then I have um, Sub-Saharan Africa. Uh, the Sub-Saharan Africa is West African, 79.5%. And as we saw in Ancestry DNA, Ancestry DNA went through each country um, in Africa, at least on that side, so you can know which part. So I know, Nigeria, Ghana, Benin, Togo, Mali. I know those sections, but on 23andMe it just says West African. So it's 79.5%, and then Central and South African 3.2%. It has none for East African, and broadly sub-Saharan Africa, which is pretty much the rest of Africa except for the north part, is what they put. It's 3%, and then they put the um, North Africa with Middle East, which is something else altogether. But it showed 0% for Middle East, North African, and broadly um, North African. And then Oceanian, I have no idea what that is. Broadly Oceanian, I think that's over in like India and this area. Um, and then there was 0.4% unassigned. So they've assigned some more, but it's not quite 100%. But they said we don't know what the 0.4% is for sure, but most of this other ones, that's what we're getting. The cool thing about 23andMe though, besides, well, the thing that I didn't like about 23andMe is um this just seems very broad and general, and I would have expected more from, I think even with Ancestry and DNA, I would expect more from like bigger countries and things, because seriously, um, as small as Europe is, and I know a lot of people have, we have the dominance for Europeans, but seriously, that Irish is different from British, but then yet you have the whole continent, two continents, North and South America, being one thing. Like the natives were just one people. Or you have Asia, like you can tell Chinese are different from um, Vietnamese, who are different from Taiwanese, who are different from Japanese, who are different from, you get what I'm saying. So basically, but you get that, and it's like, well, they're all from this port. So it is a little bit, I'm gonna say generalizing people when they shouldn't have, or stereotyping a little bit. And they did the same thing with Africa. I mean, as huge as Africa is, to just on 23andMe to just say, okay, you from West or this part, the Central, or broadly, basically, and it's not cool. But that is what I got from 23andMe. So I wasn't too happy about that, but I did like the Ancestry Timeline. So this one says how many generations ago was your most recent ancestor for each population. So basically, with this, you're looking at this time frame, and I mean it's kind of cool though, but because especially a lot of this is for me, a time during slavery, and of course after. So for me, it says most likely I had a grandparent, great grandparent, or a second great grandparent who was 100% West African. Uh, I don't know if that's true. It could be though. It could be. But I don't know exactly how true that is. That's not. We don't have tales of someone who came from West Africa. We instead have tales of we've been here for forever. So you can see. And then, of course, British and Irish, you most likely had a second great grandparent, third great grandparent, fourth great grandparent, or fifth great grandparent who was 100% British and Irish. And that is actually true. I said in the Ancestry DNA that one of my ancestors, I think that was a fourth great grandparent. Oh, I think it was fourth great grandparent, who was an indentured servant. Obviously, this is during time of slavery, the slavery time period, exactly what they're saying, 1770, 1860, that time period. So, and they were of Irish descent. And then we have Eastern European. So, it says the same. I'm not really going to go through all of that. You can read. Um, but it's, and then of course, after the Eastern European, then you have Central South African, and that's 1710 to 1800. Then you have Southeast Asian and Native Americans saying the same thing. Um, what's cool about it is, considering I am a black person in America, how it has West African so close, and then right after that, the closest things they have is European. Um, is it's our history. It's what it it's what happened basically. Um, I didn't do my parent. I did my parents ironically on Ancestry DNA, but I didn't do them on 23andMe. But I plan on doing. I plan, if my father lets me, do him on 23andMe, because then I will be able to get his Y DNA and to see where that's coming from. And oh, this is another cool thing that 23andMe does. Out of it, it kind of shows like the confidence level. So based on the confidence of what they said, and this is like you can make it very conservative to say it, you know for sure. And when you know for sure, it starts to break stuff up. And so out of what they know for sure, 11% sub-Saharan African, um, 10% European, 0.2% Asian and Native American, and then they unassigned 77.8% of that data. That's like we know for sure where you're getting some of this from. And then from what I did, like you can keep going, 80 increases it. Just that just those that 10% difference really increased it from like what that was like 11% to 83.5% sub-Saharan Africa. So, and it's and an unassigned like 3.5%. So it actually did a lot just by going up 10%. So I pretty much had it at the 50% to give me 100% data, and that gave me 85.8%. In Ancestry DNA, it was 86%. This one says 85.8%. Um, let's see what else. Oh, so that was the chromosome um, DNA of where my ancestry comes from. Some of the other things that 23andMe does, which is really cool, is if this computer works for me. Now I want to go to the carrier stuff. No, ancestry. Haplogroups. So I'm in a maternal haplogroup L3D1C, and I was excited about this. So I paid my money, and I wanted the other DNA parts of genetic testing, which is why I did 23andMe. After I had already did one, but I did it for that, and I also did it for the haplogroups. And like I said, I would like to do my father because it would give me the paternal lineage, and it will give me the maternal lineage from his mother, so I would know my grandmother's mothers. And then on my dad's side, I would know the male side where that comes from. But on my mom's side, for sure, my mother's going on, we are L3D1C. And according to the L3D1C group, it's a subgroup of L3D, it says here. So I'm in the haplogroup L3D. The age of my mitochondrial DNA, that's the powerhouse in the cell. The reason why women give it is because we have the eggs, and it's what's left and it's what's in the egg that gives energy off. So everyone has a female's mitochondrial DNA, and that's the Eve gene basically. My haplogroup is 30,000 years old, and it is seen in northern, eastern, and southern Africa, which is really weird considering that, as you can see just earlier, that I am mostly West African, but my haplogroup is northern, eastern, and southern Africa. I went further. I went somewhere else online, and I put in my haplogroup and things, and it was showing um, like here. Um, it was actually showing like Egypt and pretty much East. So, um, like this says, the haplogroup arose in Western Africa about 30,000 years ago, but it's been spread throughout the Bantu speaking populations from Western to Eastern and South African. Um, so, 30,000 years is pretty cool. Um, that is what I am from my haplogroup. And the other thing, I'll go back, is the Neanderthal ancestry. Um, Basically, it'll tell you about the ancient, the Neanderthals being the most common or popular ancient human. that they talk about who interbred with modern humans before they became extinct. And this says 40,000 years ago. As you can see, this is 40,000 years ago, and then yet my mitochondrial DNA is 30,000 years old. But how it changes and metamorphoses. Um, but this says how much of my ancestry can be traced back to Neanderthals, and I have 51 Neanderthal variants, and it's not a lot. I mean, it's there. It's not a lot. It's less than 99% of most customers, and I think that's because the only people who don't have Neanderthal are Africans who have not had outside contact, I should say that, with the rest of the world. Because almost everywhere you have Neanderthal, then you have the Denisovians, and then there's another group that I don't think they even named yet. As of this point, they didn't name that was like in Asia, Melanesia, which is Australia, that area where they're like, that's another DNA. That's neither Denisovian nor Neanderthal, and it's not human. So it's another race of something humans. So, oh, and then it actually you start to get family members here too, um, for seeing the different family members. But they're looking at for Neanderthals, they're looking at straight hair, um, something about dark chocolate, less back hair. I don't have any back hairs. I don't know how. I don't know if that's saying, yeah. I'm confused about that a little bit. And in height, I don't know if that means that it's taller or shorter. All I know is the Neanderthals were in Germany, and that's what this says here. It's not me. I can just say it's not me for the most part. Uh, that is the Neanderthal thing. So that's all of my ancestries. Um, they do the carrier status reports. When I first did it, I wanted to do the one because they said that they were going to do like multiple things that included Alzheimer's and stuff, but the FDA put a stop to it, and they came back and they only did like some other DNAs, but mine came back all negative. Um, it's it's cool to have, but I kind of already had that before, so um, but then they also go through traits that you have, like taste and smell, facial features, hair, physical characteristics, um, physical responses. I just clicked on that because I'm like, what is that? Um, what is physical responses? And skin, like what type are you gonna have? It actually says, okay, what color are you most likely going to be because of that? Um, oh, how do you respond? Do you sneeze when you look at the sun? Oh, yeah. Apparently, I do not sneeze when I'm exposed to bright light. Yeah, yeah, I usually don't. So I guess that's what it is. So it was 23andMe is pretty cool with the different traits that they do, the wellnesses that they do. Um oh, this is a new thing that just came out. This says genetic weight. So, ooh, this is going. Ooh, basically, you can see now I'm 5'10". It says my genes predispose me to weigh about average. So, basically, it says that um for my age, 5'10", I should be about 200 pounds or so. I'm about a little bit more for the lower weight, but it's pretty much average for the lower weight and higher weight, um, according to that DNA. And what they do also is they do a whole bunch of research. So they ask people questions to get more information about the people. So that's kind of cool. Um, but this is my DNA. All right, so that took a while, but that was my 23andMe. And so you can see some of it is kind of the same and some of it is different. There are benefits and to both of them. So that was 23andMe, and it kind of broadly tells you where you're from. So it's not the greatest one if you want to know exactly where you're from, but it does kind of give you a little bit more information, like uh, the generations, the haplogroups, the Neanderthal DNA. So it gives you some things that are really cool. And then it also gives you the things about your traits and if you have any genetic predispositions to certain illnesses. Not all of them, but some. So that is a cool thing about 23andMe. Um, I am going to talk a little bit about why I'm doing this and what's next for Roz's journey. I hope you've seen some of the other videos that I have, especially the recent ones that are explaining a little bit about what my journey is about. And you might have a little bit of an idea of why I'm doing this if you watch those videos. But if not, go back, click on them, check me out, see what's going on, give me feedback because I can only know how I'm doing through you. So give me that feedback. Like, comment, share. Love you guys. Good night.